So, since we're going through network enumeration and fingerprinting right now, and the best tool to use for that purpose is, of course, Network Mapper and Nmap. Let me show one of the strongest of its sides. It's of course Nmap scripting engine, using which you can basically perform any type of network operation, including scanning, verification, validation of vulnerabilities, even some basic exploitation. Nestle is the language that is used to write your own scripts, but for now let's explore this directory that normally is created by Nmap installations, right? So here we have an enormous number of different scripts collected as of now, and in the latest Nmap version we have at least more than 1,000, yeah, so it's a lot. So as you can see, the names of the scripts are quite descriptive. So we have the protocol or the purpose is the first section, and then after the dash we have some specific data, right? So as you can see, HTTP is prevalent, of course, because most of the code out there is web applications, and there are different various web services as well, and all of them require our attention, as normally they are by most part internet facing, right? So there is something related to SMTP. I think the second numerous protocol related script group is SMB, right? So it's strongly based upon the popularity of certain services. Okay, so there is definitely more SMTP than Nmap. And there is something even Quake related. Okay, so let me show what we can do using this script. So first, let's choose something. Let's use some HTTP related scripts, and let's use this file we have. That we have collected, right? So it's mostly HTTP service right there, right? So let's use some discovery scripts. For example, let's grab some headers, yeah. So this will be script number 1, and then let's collect some basic info like headers, whether if there is an PHP, whether there is some version information, if there is an SVN. Let's check out the version and the configuration. And we have the same thing for Git as well. That's rare, but sometimes there is some meta information regarding the repositories that contain the source code. This might be really interesting. Yeah, so yeah, let's check whether the host is mentioned somewhere in XSS. Okay, so this is the list of scripts we will employ, and the notion of using scripts is like this, yeah. And of course we will have to write nmap, use our host lists. Let's limit the port scanning to what we already know is open. Let's not ping anything, let's not resolve anything, and I think that's it. And let's write it down into some XML file that is called Nmap scripts. Okay. Okay. Let's see what happens. So it starts the script scanning right away from the start, and it's pretty fast. Okay, what we have? some scripts have run successfully. For example, we have HTTP headers. Yeah, this is not rocket science, right? So this is just what is contained in the server response that we will get no matter what. Okay, and then we will, I think that's it. Right, so just to show you that there are scripts and you can use many of them, and of course you can use this notion of using all HTTP scripts, for example, right? So be careful with that, because some of them may actually break down the server. Yeah, so they won't, most probably, but chances are that they could. So every script has a so-called category, right? So let's, for example, read what it is. There is some information about every script, and the example of how its output looks like, and yeah, it shows some information about the purpose and some description. So from this you can understand at least what's the possible impact of that. Okay, so there are things like vulnerability checks, yeah, and you basically can see that it just checks whether the server is vulnerable to a specific CVE, right? So you can read about it some more and then attempt to exploit it in some way. But there are also the things that actively attack the server. For example, this HTTP brute will attempt attacking using some default usernames and passwords, or the ones you provide as arguments, right? Brute force path, hostname, method, and so on. So you configure the brute forcing mechanism. You can do it using Nmap. You can write your own script, you can use Metasploit or whatever, but Nmap is also capable of that, because again, it's very, very flexible. After some time, you most probably will collect something I have. Yeah, so this is like showing what I do when I'm on a web application assessment engagement, right? So this could be basically not only AT but any web port, right? So this portion is quick discovery scan. Not really quick, but relatively quick. So I do this, then after this I do some working with vulnerabilities, and then all the rest is running like forever. You know, you can spend a few hours or even a couple of days to scan a really large scope with all these scripts, because some of them actually involve spidering the host and finding, for example, some remote file injection vulnerabilities, right? So this is kind of cool. So start using it right now. And remember, there is this, of course, there is this file, there is this website, netsec.org, right? Let's go. There is this thing with Nmap with two P's in the end. So you always can consult this website that has a lot of information about Nmap and map development and more. And of course, there is this information about script categories that you can find. You definitely can find. In this chapter. So Nmap scripting engine, this is what it is, how you can use it, and this is Lua, the programming language that is used in order to create them, and script categories. That's why we're here actually on this side. You can select them from this list. So as you can see, some of it is reflected in the script name, but they also have all the categories listed here. And yeah, for example, discovery will result in selecting all the discovery scripts, and the level of intrusiveness can be selected, and if it's fuzzer, it will be in this category, and so on. So yeah, that's a lot of different things you can do with scripts, and this is the most underused and underrated part of Nmap. You have to know it, and it will deal you a lot of good in your career. That's something you can do freely and to zero cost. Okay, thank you for attention. In the next video we will just go through some alternative solutions when it comes to TCP service scanning and intensive host discovery in enormous scopes that are really relevant for bug bounties.